VHS files contain spoilers, adult content, and harsh language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's showtime. It's showtime.
Welcome to the VHS Files podcast with Jenny Lou,
So what do you want to do tonight?
Jason,
What about pizza and movie night?
Eric,
I want to rent a movie.
and Josh.
I want to go to a good video store so I can get a good movie.
And this is the movie of the week.
Let's get this pizza movie night started.
Welcome back, everybody, to the VHS Files podcast. And tonight, we're going to fucking space.
Can they hear you scream? No.
No
they
screaming.
can't.
They can't hear anything in space. There's no
You can
sound.
scream, but they won't hear you.
And welcome to Green Month. This month, we're talking about movies that associate with the color green, at least for us. And tonight, we're talking about Ridley Scott's Alien. I associate it with the color green. I don't know if Eric does. It was an argument we were having off mic.
Yes. The marketing obviously is green. The poster, that iconic poster, and I think it wouldn't be as prominent in our heads as a green quote unquote thing if not for that marketing. The marketing is black and green, and that's pretty much it, you know.
And then Jason has his association with just aliens are green.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I mean,
Aliens
are
are
very
green.
lengthy argument between Eric and Josh about this alien is green type thing. And I says, hey, us as humans, we think of aliens as green. I mean, like you said, the little green men, blah, 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 it's green. So we're talking about aliens, they're fucking green.
I guess Gremlins could be alien. Well, are Gremlins aliens? They're little green men.
They could have came from outer space. We don't know that.
Could have. I would imagine Eric is very excited. We're talking about Ridley Scott's Alien, and ever since I've known Eric, he talks about how much he loves this movie. So I'm excited to hear Eric's thoughts. I'm sure he had a good time watching it. I'm interested to hear what he's got to say. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get right in to Alien, like Ridley Scott, our first Ridley Scott movie on the show.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, Ridley Scott, and this was his second film.
Me being an Alien fan, I should say up front that does not mean I know everything about Alien or even Ridley Scott's filmography. I'm not an expert in any.
There are a lot of his movies I do like. I mean, I wrote the ones down that I actually enjoy. So.
Yeah, his first movie in 77, The Duelist, and then Alien in 79. And after that, he would go on to do Blade Runner, Legend, Black Rain, Thelma and Louise, G.I. Jane, Gladiator, Hannibal. I mean, this guy has put some big ones out for Hollywood.
He's a machine.
Yes.
He's an absolute machine.
And
machine.
The last one of his I watched was The Last Duel, which came out last year. And apparently everybody is freaking out because nobody saw that movie. And Ridley Scott's apparently freaking out because
it's all because of Marvel and Star Wars. I hate him. I hate him.
Did you like it?
I actually did like it. It's I don't know if it's still on HBO Max.
Hold on. I am in the middle of watching this movie. I'm 3/4 done, so don't say anything.
Well, I haven't even started it, so yeah.
It's a weird storytelling. I'm still trying to figure it out. So
well, honestly, if you can keep up with The Witcher, you should do fine with this.
Yeah, that's true. It's just, I don't know. I guess being more of a supernatural element in The Witcher, it's easier to keep track of for me than, I guess, so-called history we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, because it's based on a true events or true story or whatever.
And then House of Gucci actually just came out on Blu-ray recently. I haven't seen that yet. I do want to see it. I've heard it's absurd, but I still want to see it. Sure. But I've seen quite a bit of Ridley Scott stuff. I would say I'm a fan. And yeah, I mean, this was also written by Dan O'Bannon. And the story of this movie is very interesting because Dan O'Bannon worked with another big time director that we talk about on our show all the time, John Carpenter, on his first film, which was technically a student film, Dark Star. I don't know. Have you guys seen Dark Star?
I've not seen Dark Star.
I've never watched it.
It has some very similar plot beats to Alien, but it's very much a student film. The creature effects in that movie are nothing to write home about.
I've seen the clips of the creature effects. Yeah, that's pretty great.
When I brought you on the ship, I thought you were cute.
Something like they had to put eyes on a beach ball or something like that. Like it's ridiculous.
That said, I have been wanting to watch that just because John Carpenter, but now
True.
I want to watch it even more because I didn't know that.
Okay.
So,
I got some trivia for Mr. Eric, the fan of the movie. What was the original title for this movie?
this is what I said. I like the movie, but I don't know anything about
No.
it. I'm not some movie historian. I don't know trivia from the film.
Okay, well, do you know? You don't know what the original title for this? It wasn't Alien.
I mean,
throw it out there. Take a wild guess.
No, I'm blanking. I probably heard it before, but I can't.
Josh, do you know what it's called? What it was called?
I don't.
Star Beast.
Star Beast. I have heard that.
Well, Star Beast is one of those titles that you think of, and then you throw them away.
Would this movie be held in such high regard if it was named Star Beast?
Star Beast. Star Beasts.
I mean, honestly,
Star
like
Beast 3.
The title shouldn't affect the quality of the film, honestly. But like, Alien it fits. Star Beast. I don't know.
Well, take my favorite movie, Halloween.
Yeah, the Babysitter Murders.
The Babysitter Murders. Come on.
Which honestly makes more sense considering it really wasn't Halloween when they made the movie.
Yeah. But it's based on Halloween night. But that's the thing. But does the name of the movie does it influence it? I mean, in a sense. Right. Because Star Beast would literally sound like a back shelf B movie, Alien movie. Well, this ended up being a big thing. I mean, shoot, Alien changed the whole outer space type horror movie. I mean, we had Star Wars 2 years prior. Yeah, but that was the big action, shoot 'em up, Western Star Wars. This was Star horror. So
Star Horrors?
Space. What? Star Horrors. What? I like that movie too.
Star Horrors.
But or space horror, however you want to call it. But yeah, this movie really set the precedent for that.
Teeny tiny cast on this. It's seven cast members in total. A very claustrophobic film. We have a lot to say about this. I imagine it might be a long conversation, or I could be completely overshooting that. We might talk about it for 30 minutes. We'll find out here in just a second. But before we start talking about this movie, Eric, tell us what was going on in 1979.
We're sending you back in time. Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, Josh, General Mills launched Honey Nut Cheerios in 1979. Josh, do you pour the milk first or the cereal first?
The cereal.
Nobody cares.
I
got you good, you fool. Anyway, a rare sight as snow falls in the Sahara Desert in 1979. Kind of hard to believe it snowed there. Honestly, I have my droughts. Sorry, I look for better desert jokes, but they're all pretty dry.
I'm no longer involved with this show.
In 1976, Little Richard quit rock and roll and drugs to preach and sell Bibles. He even worked around the church garden, just various maintenance. He lopped all the rhubarb. He lopped bamboo. I was so excited to tell that joke and nobody even laughed at it. Okay.
Hey, I met Little Richard. He's a cool guy.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
And finally, you might be wondering what John Goodman was up to during all this. Hit it, Josh.
Look how fucking small he is, dude.
One's just wrong.
Honestly, if it wasn't for that jawline, I would not even think that was John Goodman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gets you just right.
Men in skin bracers.
God, I remember my grandpa using that stuff.
Aftershave. Skin bracers got those skin tighteners and chin chillers that really.
It's got those skin tighteners.
Skin chillers.
He's a handsome man.
Indeed he is.
You're just right.
I love John Goodman.
I've always loved that dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got to get some John Goodman flicks up in this beast.
Yeah, we do.
I believe aftershave is the least used thing on the VHS Files podcast through here. So I'm just saying. I have a little.
I thought you were going in like a general sense, but then you're like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I haven't shaved with a razor in like 20 years.
Shoot, screw that, dude. Aftershave sucks. I mean, when was the first time did you have your Home Alone moment? Like the first time you shaved and you threw on some aftershave? It literally.
See, I never experienced that. I always thought like I put aftershave on after I've shaved, and it's never really bothered me. So,
did you have the full alcohol stuff? Old school stuff had a shit ton of alcohol in it.
I don't remember. I mean, does it look like I shave much?
Well, I'm talking about back in the day, because you did. Because when I met you, you were nice, fresh shaved, little baby face. Josh,
you're a little baby.
He's like a little baby face.
All right, well, let's talk about this. I watched this movie in 4K, and it looked fucking fantastic. Fantastic.
Steelbook, 4K, Screen Factory, whatever release that Josh watched.
No Steelbook. You got to get off the Steelbook kick, man. I don't do the whole Steelbook.
You're way off.
You're way off.
I'm sorry.
I actually did not see Alien first, much like what we talked about last week on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw Aliens before I saw Alien, and love Aliens. We're probably going to be talking about it sooner rather than later, and I've got plenty to say about that movie, but got into this one a little later on, and the more I watch it, the more I fucking love this movie.
That is a note that I took myself. Okay, I already love this movie, but literally every time I watch it, I like it more.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle to find anything wrong with it. It's magical to me.
You know, watching it for the show and having to come up with something to talk about, I found a couple little things that I can kind of pinpoint.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to those later.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah, we're gonna pull some shit apart of this.
But I don't remember when I watched this for the first time. I probably was either in my late teens or maybe even in my 20s, honestly. Or, you know, I might have been an older kid, but I definitely didn't watch this one as much as Aliens. Aliens had the fucking action going on, so I was all about that when I was younger. And, you know, I remember when I did finally go and watch this one, I was a little taken aback because it wasn't as action-packed as Aliens was, and you didn't have the Space Marines and all that shit. And this one is a very claustrophobic, dark, almost horror sci-fi movie. I honestly, like, I have no problem saying it's a horror movie.
I think
I don't either. Movie. It is a horror movie. Yeah, it's a horror movie.
But
I mean, that's what I just said earlier. I said, like, to me, this kind of set the precedent for space horror or star horror. But I think it did. I mean, any movie that's come after it where you're, you know, these people are stuck in space and it's either a creature or just shit's happening this bad, or they took a trip to hell in Event Horizon.
Yeah.
It all kind of started here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's,
and it's, you know, we're going to get into it in the conversation, but I think this movie set a precedence for space movies moving forward, especially with the horror twinge to them that is hard to beat, honestly. Jason, when did you first see Alien?
It was much like you. I remember seeing Aliens first, and the whole Space Marines thing. I always thought that was cool. I think I was probably junior high or high school, because I mean, Aliens came out 86, 80, somewhere 87. Yeah. So I mean, I saw that pretty quick whenever it was available on VHS, because my mom and stepdad love those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched it, and I remember watching it, and I was scared, but I remember, I mean, it was junior high when I saw this, but there's definitely some aspects of this movie. I mean, especially growing up watching horror movies like Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy and stuff like that. I mean, you saw Aliens, and like that's what we're saying, it was more of an action kind of packs with some scares in it. This movie scared me because this is basically like, it's jump scares. They are great jump scares.
It's a slasher movie in space. Yeah.
I mean, you have a lone killer loose on a spaceship, knocking people off one at a time.
Yep.
So I mean, but yeah, I was probably, you know, early teenage years or right before teenage. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Eric, when did your love for this movie start?
I think I saw this on TV before I ever saw it in its normal thing. I think this was a movie that I would see, and now that I think about it, they probably didn't cut a whole lot out of it.
Yeah.
You know, there's not that much to cut, but I don't know. I've always loved this movie, and there's certain movies that you know, as I get older and have a more you know, sophisticated palette for film or whatever, it's still good. Like, you know, there's some movies that kind of fallen off and like, oh, I love that when I was a kid, but it's not really, or nostalgia is really this one is just, it was solid then when I didn't, you know, when I was just a kid.
Mhm.
And then it just continued to be amazing no matter where I'm coming from. But it was always one, along with Predator. You mentioned Predator. Some of those 80s, 79, 80s movies, I watched them in the 80s. And that just were just absolute classics from the very first time I saw them.
It was released in September. Well, no, May in the United States. So I was going to say, if it was released later in the year, I would consider it an 80s movie. Honestly, the majority of the fans of this movie probably do come from the 80s. But
I was 2.
Right. I was
exactly.
non-existent when this movie came out.
You were on your way.
Yeah, basically. But I kind of want to get into this movie right off the bat. This fucking title card reveal is one of the best in the fucking business. And it's simplistic, and much like this movie in general, like we're talking about how this movie works as a horror movie in space and all that. And while you have a really great story, that's one thing, but this movie also brings design. And I really want to talk to Eric about this aspect of it, since he is a designer. Everything that is designed in this movie is fucking perfect.
There's so much extra effort put into background elements that would in many cases be just relatively simple. There's that extra time put into just panels on the wall that have interesting patterns and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, the title the title card or whatever, as it reveals itself, just excellent typography. The whole thing just kind of comes in magically and just it's also, I think, like, it shows restraint,
right?
As does a lot of this movie shows restraint in such a wonderful way that builds suspense. The way you have to wait for that word, those 5 letters, to reveal themselves,
right?
The way you have to wait to see what's going on. Same with the score is restrained. The
Jerry Goldsmith score,
and so much of it all works so wonderfully together to create this unease and this suspense that just blankets the whole movie from the get-go. It sets the tone for the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like with the intro and the music, the score, all of that stuff, like, it does a really good job of making you feel comfortable coming into the movie. Whereas as you go through the movie, it gets more tense and more anxiety ridden. But, like we talked about last week with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, how that one is just complete like work of terror from the moment it starts to the moment it ends. Right. You get to ease into Alien and kind of really feel out where you are, who the people are. You get good character development with these people. I love the way this movie opens. I don't think there's a line of dialogue until probably 10, 12 minutes in.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do love that opening where you get the lay of the ship first, and then you come into where they're waking up.
It seems very artsy to me right there.
Yeah, just the design of those pods.
Pods, and then you got what's his name? I forget his character name, but Hurt, the actor, when he's waking up. I mean, that's very artistic. It's kind of like something you would see in an old animated film of like something awakening from a deep sleep, like nature or something like that happening.
Right.
And I noticed that I caught that vibe really heavy this time watching it.
Yeah. And I love all the reflections of the computer screen and the helmet.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool.
Sort of wakes up but when we get everybody awake and at the table eating and kind of, riffing on each other, you get more character development at this dinner table than you'd get in most movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That anytime they're eating in this movie, they eat twice.
Right.
And
I wouldn't eat again after the second time either.
Yeah. But I love how it swings around the table, and you get a taste of everybody. It feels so natural. Everything about it feels natural. All the performances are very natural. Nothing's over the top, and I mean, everything about this just feels natural.
Yeah.
I think I've noticed watching this time, you were just talking about characters and their interaction. I love Parker and was it Brett?
They are my fucking like
dude. Them two, because I mean they just woke up from how long of sleeping.
I think we ought to discuss the bonus situation.
Right.
Brett and I, we think we deserve full shares, right, baby?
You see, Mr. Park and I feel that the bonus situation has never been on an equitable level.
Well, you get what you contracted for, like everybody else.
Yes, but everybody else gets more than us.
I love their little banter between each other and with the rest of the crew through this whole movie until their demise.
Right.
Like,
I mean, everything about this crew feels natural. And I mean, you get the sense that some of them have known each other for a long time. Some of them haven't known each other for a long time. Like I do get a sense between like Parker and Brett that they aren't really keen on Ripley. Like there's that scene between them and Ripley in the bay where they're talking about their shares and everything. And like I like that there's bickering between them. They really feel like a crew that have been working together for a while and have animosity towards one another, animosity towards the work they're doing and how they're being paid. It really sets up a
Ripley's clearly like a ball buster. You know what I mean? So like they don't want to deal with it seems like they respect her, but they don't want to have to deal with it because they know they can't mess with her, kind of a thing.
Yeah, because she's a higher ranking officer on the ship. They're just basically maintenance.
Right.
That's basically what they're doing. They're taking care of everything. But without them, nobody lives.
Right.
Because they have to keep the ship up and running.
It holds weight because they're concerned about what they're making and they're not going to work unless they get paid. And I like that there is that kind of there's almost a class divide between them and say like Dallas and Ripley. And like when they're talking about their shares and it cuts over to Dallas and he's just like, oh, well, you'll get your share like everybody else. Like he's not worried about it, but they are because they're getting the shit into the stick and the other guys are getting paid. Like,
well, they've already signed they've kind of already signed a contract. He's not there to negotiate their contract. He doesn't want to deal with that bullshit. So, I agree though. It does make them all very relatable. It feels like your average business scenario with various staff that have to live with each other
and where in past and like Jason brought up in past viewings of this, I'm attached to Dallas's character. I'm attached to Ripley. Of course, I'm attached to Ripley. She's the main person in Aliens. That's why I'm going into this franchise. But like, I fell in love with Yaphet Kotto in this movie. I think him and Harry Dean Stanton together are great, but I just love Parker's like complete no bullshit. Like I'm gonna say what's on my mind, like he has no quarrel about like just putting it out there. And we'll get into some of that as we get into the movie, but yeah, I mean, I love the setup here and just fuck space. Like
not interested.
Fuck space, not interested. Yeah. Well, the one thing I want to talk about, because Eric's talking about the way everything he likes to lay out everything in the background and how the ship's laid out.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I've ever noticed since I've watched this movie as a younger kid and stuff like that is when we get our first introduction to Mother, I've always referred to that as the light bright room.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of light bright boards stuck on the wall.
I love that room. That room is amazing. I want my bedroom to look like that room.
And even though all that technology is dated and like if we were really building, if we were really building ships like that now, it would be nothing like that. I still have no problem believing that this is a distant future space vessel. Like I have no problem with that. Like, and Jenny did make she was like, man, they did. What did she say? She was like, they didn't think that TV screens could be bigger in the future, or she made a comment or something like that. And I was like, well, I mean, when you're making a movie, you can only work with what you have. And I think all they had were little tube TVs to work with at this point.
Yeah.
But
it worked fine.
Yeah, I again, even though it looks dated, I love this ship. I could spend hours just watching them work on this ship, honestly. Like I just love being there. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, the one thing I want to point out, okay, we're talking, Josh said the movie's very claustrophobic. He mentioned it at the beginning. This is the thing I have, and I've noticed it about this movie, where they decide they got to go check on this distress call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we find out that's why they've been woke up, because Mother says, hey, there's something going on and received a transmission. They haven't deciphered it yet, but they got to check it out. That's
Well,
mandatory. The company.
And I love the exchange between Ripley and Lambert when they're talking about like, where's home? Where's home? And Ripley's just like, this isn't our system. You know, like.
But the thing is, you get that shot it's a cool shot as the Nostromo goes by the planet.
Yeah.
This ship is the size of a city floating through space.
It's huge.
Okay. But that's what you said, claustrophobic. How the hell can you be claustrophobic in a floating city?
Well, the thing is,
but they only use part of this ship as the whole story. Well, there was a whole city to run around in.
They're mining stuff in space.
Mining ship, yeah. So a lot of it might just be storage for whatever you're mining. So the actual living space is smaller. So there, Jason, take your little complaint and put it in the trashy.
No, because hey, if they're putting the stuff there, if they're putting it there, they have to drive equipment in there to put it in there. So
I don't see your point. It's still a big mining ship, probably mostly for storage.
Well, I mean,
that's my answer.
I'll go back to the tagline. No one can hear you scream in space. Like, it doesn't matter how big that fucking ship is. Like, I'm still in a claustrophobic state because I'm in fucking space. There's nothing out there, you know, like,
all right, fine.
And you can't scream in space. Nobody can hear you. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, we've established that.
You could scream in your spacesuit.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that tagline is nobody can hear you scream in space. You would not be able to scream in space. Not on a spaceship. Space.
Are we not in space right now?
I mean, we are.
We're talking about that space between your ears. That void.
Void. Oh, man.
I would imagine that would be something that you would be pretty shocked to wake up to. Like, you're expecting them to be home from this mission that you were on, and oh no, you're only halfway home. But still, like, where a lot of movies can get cheaper and feel cheesy is the setup for something like that. And like, this movie just feels grounded, even though it's in space, feels grounded, with just how it's just this normal sort of procedure sort of style of things. And it's, you know, they were woken up because the ship found a distress signal, and that's what they're supposed to do in that situation. And I love Parker when it comes, hey, you want to pay me more, I'll go do it, but until you pay me some more money, I am not interested in doing any of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has like rational reactions to what's going on.
Yeah,
you know, nobody reacts like somebody would in a movie. Everyone pretty much makes reasonable decisions based on what kind of character they are. You know, if they're super brave and all about honor, they put themselves on the line. If they're more concerned with their own hide, they're a little more, every decision fits the character.
Yeah.
And that's why even we have such little time with these people, they all feel fleshed out because, you know, they all act rationally throughout the film.
And even the decisions that are made that put us in a bad situation, there is a reason behind that.
There's a reason behind everyone's motivations. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that if most of the crew would have listened to Parker when he asked his questions, they would have all probably lived. Yeah. Except for
I mean, if you want to get right down to it, if they would have just listened to Ripley like they were supposed to, but there's a wild card in there, you know, with Ash, you know.
Yeah. And that's where Ash set Parker straight too about if we don't go check it out.
There is a clause in the contract which specifically states any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
I don't want to hear it.
We don't know that's intelligent.
I want to go home and party.
Parker, will you just listen to the man? On penalty of total forfeiture of shares. Money. You got that?
Yeah.
All right, we're going in.
I can understand their trepidation of wanting to go do this. I mean, this isn't like you're taking a detour to fucking Tucson on the way to California or something. This is fucking space, a planet that you've never been to. You don't know what the fuck is there. You don't know what this signal is that you're having to check out. Like, yeah, I would be pretty upset about having to do some shit like this too. But, you know, if you signed up for it, I guess that's what you get.
Well, especially when you encounter an alien ship.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm not an expert here. at this point, certainly in this film, it's not established, right? But do they say anything about whether they haven't encountered any intelligent life yet, right?
Right.
We're a spacefaring humanity at this point, but
that's what I kind of wondered, because they say, is it human? They did mention that in the film, and I'm like, so have we talked to aliens before?
Yeah,
because they did mention that part.
I didn't catch that, but I would assume the suspension of disbelief there would be, I mean, we're humans traveling in deep space. I guess it would make sense that another spacecraft could be in distress on a planet, and that they would want to go check that out. But I think it's not until they actually find the craft that they realize that they're dealing with an alien spaceship.
We get to the surface of this little planetoid. We're trying to figure out while we're down there, and we see the ship that's not ours and is obviously probably not human. At the same time as when Ripley finds out that
transmission, Mother's deciphered part of it. It doesn't look like an SOS.
What is it then?
Well, it looks like a warning. I'm going to go out after them.
What's the point?
You've got Ash pushing the envelope the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. Anytime anyone starts to doubt what they're doing, Ash pushes them.
And that's what I've noticed after you go back, because you know what happens after the first time you watch this movie. You go back and you look for his facial expressions and his mannerisms to see, could I have seen this before? And you do see it earlier in the film than when you find out in the original watch that, wait, this guy was off.
The biggest thing, when he leaves Kane just on the stretcher with the thing on his face, not in the containment pod thing, just leaves him out.
Yeah.
That's a dead giveaway. I mean, you just left him out in the room? Come on. Well,
here was the question that I came up with here, because they go out of their way to make it, if you blink, you'll miss it in the dialogue. But when they say Mother wants to talk to Dallas, he says, "Oh, I noticed yellow light, my eyes only." Like, he's the only one who's supposed to go in there and see what this transmission is and whatnot. He's the captain of the ship. How did Ash know all of this? I'm wondering if Mother is communicating with Ash.
Well, we find out later that Ash isn't human.
So that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, I think they were communicating through his brain.
Yeah. Because ultimately this turns into Ash's mission once they figure out there's alien life form.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What is Mother? Is Mother just the directive and it's the computer and fed the thing? But is Mother, are we actually getting questions answered by the headquarters, or is Mother really just an AI that answers questions based on the mission protocols?
Mother is the grandmother of Alexa. And she runs the fucking ship, but it all, I think, comes down from the company.
No, I think the biggest thing behind Mother is after 2001, everybody felt like they had to have a HAL system in a space movie.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of 2001 influence here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yeah. In many different ways, but least of all, yeah, Mother for sure is definitely a HAL inspired thing. But it's just weird because they kind of refer to it, and then in future movies we deal with Wayland Industries and all this kind of stuff and their motivations and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just, when I look at this movie by itself, I'm like, is Mother just basically their ship's protocol that's been all programmed and it's just going to answer questions based on that? Or are we getting real connection with other humans on Earth,
right,
or wherever?
Well, it has to be, because the company changed the directives, which we find out later, of what they needed to do. Everything was changed, and that had to come from the company.
Right. It's easy to put that together knowing the sequels, where the sequels go after this, because Wayland Yutani wants the specimen brought back and all of that stuff. But I think what Eric's getting at is, with this movie, we didn't know we were going to make a franchise out of this movie. So what was the purpose of Mother? Was Mother actually communication with Wayland Yutani, or was Mother an AI?
I think it's both. I think Mother runs the ship, but Wayland communicates with Mother to communicate with the crew.
Now, while we're talking about Wayland, Eric, again, design, branding. He does all the branding for the VHS files. Tell me how you feel about Weyland-Yutani and their branding.
I love the Weyland stuff. Is that in here? Am I? Hold on.
What do you mean?
Is the Weyland branding stuff in this movie?
Oh, it's everywhere. They work for Weyland-Yutani. This is your favorite movie, Eric.
Josh, yeah, Eric loves this movie. I don't know who's Weyland. What's this movie? Alien. What am I watching?
I know who Weyland is.
The fucking logo is on everybody's clothing and the helmets.
Hey,
and the chip.
Hey, Eric, Sigourney Weaver's in this movie too. Her name is Sigourney Weaver. So.
I remember it more from later movies is what I'm trying to say. And you know, it's obviously everywhere in like the newer Alien films.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's, but I'm trying to see like examples of it in the original film because you know, you see a lot, you know, the wings, it's like it looks like wings. It almost looks like the Egyptian, like a scarab or something.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know what I'm talking about? Google it. Anyway, honestly, I didn't notice it so much this time when I was watching it. So I don't know. But I do love it. And I do love any kind of branded, you know, especially like 80s or 70s branded corporations, you know,
yeah,
like OCP and things like that.
Right.
The Weyland logo is good, but I'm trying to find out. I feel like I'm going crazy. And
well, while Eric's trying to figure that out, and while we're trying to talk about design, let's talk about when we get on the ship.
One of my favorite parts of the crash when they land on the planet is again Parker and Brett.
Alarm, the floor is functional.
What?
It's 17 hours, fella.
At least 25 hours.
Get started on core panel. I'll be right down.
What the hell is she coming down here for?
You better stay the fuck out of my way.
Coming down here. I like to see what she's going to do when she got there.
I love these two. Like they're almost the comic relief, but they're not supposed to be. Like I don't know. Like I love them here though.
I love their exchange when Ripley's down there and they're talking and they can't hear over this steam and blah blah blah. And she walks away. He just turns the valve off.
Yeah.
He's like, there's nothing. He was trying to make it like, look at this fucking leak type thing, and then he just walks and goes, shit.
And at that point, and that's like, you know, I also love that we really, so far, we don't really have a main character, quote unquote, that we're following in this movie. We're just following this crew.
Absolutely. You know, you don't know at all that Sigourney Weaver would be your main person. I just wanted to say that I think I found proof that I'm actually correct here. You only get the winged Weyland logo, Weyland-Yutani logo in the original Alien film. It wasn't until Aliens that they have the rebranding that has the W with like the triangles in it. And that's what really threw me when you asked me that.
Well, we'll use it in a sense of the series, okay? Like how do you
yeah, but I'm just saying like the Weyland logo you see on t-shirts and stuff like that most of the time is the big W, which is not in this movie. So
it's a different logo.
And I was like starting to question my own sanity, but yeah, there's a few different. It's kind of interesting. I found like a timeline of the Alien, the Weyland branding in the Alien franchise, which is pretty cool. Find literally anything on the internet. We'll post this on Twitter.
Well,
yeah, but you don't know who the main character is. It could very easily be Dallas, you know, as you start the movie.
Right. Like you would assume it's Dallas because he's the captain of the ship and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, even with that exchange with Ripley and Parker and Brett and everything, and you know, she's quite sassy with them.
Parker, yeah, you'll get whatever's coming to you.
Look, you know, almost like talking down to them, you know, and
Brett, you're guaranteed by law to get a share.
I love that. He's got the steam on.
Just fuck off.
What? What did you say, Rick?
If you have any trouble, I'll be on the bridge.
Some bad ADR right there, I do want to say.
Oh,
there's something else wrong with it. It's not.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Don't rag on it. You got to be nice to it.
I also have a question. When they're scanning the planet and you see all these peaks and valleys on the screen,
Mhm.
Are you guys familiar with that Joy Division shirt that all the kids wear that have has those peaks and valleys on it? As they were going down to the planet, I was looking at that and I was like, did Joy Division take this shit from Alien?
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did. I'm going to Google it right now. It's a Google episode. I'm Googling everything.
We get on the planet, we discover the ship, and again, these guys are more fucking adventurous than I am, because if I found that shit, I don't think I would go in there. But yes, you want to talk about design, and if you like that ship, or the Nostromo, oh my fucking god, dude! When we get in this spaceship, I'm just like, it takes my breath away, man. Like, I can't believe this is a fucking set someone designed.
I mean,
the HR Geiger. Geiger did, dude. And
I mean, you can't talk Alien without talking Geiger. And I mean,
that man invented a one-of-a-kind creature, the designs, the face hugger, everything else in this, the space jockey.
I didn't want to have eyes because it makes the monster more dangerous. It's more scary, and because you never know where the monster is looking.
All of it is just freaking phenomenal. I mean, it was after seeing this movie. I mean, even bands started using his designs in their album covers, and was it Jonathan Davis had a thing that he used to use.
The cover of one of Danzig's albums is
the cover of How the Gods Kill is Geiger. Stuff like that. But I'd read a little thing about him. O'Bannon had met Geiger when they got ready to design all this stuff.
Geiger brings out this little tinfoil. He said, "Would you like some opium?" I said, "Why do you take that?" He said, "I am afraid of my visions." He said, "It's only your mind." He said, "That is what I'm afraid of." He brings out a book, art book, with his paintings in it. I started looking at this, and he and Alejandro go into a big discussion about Dune. I started looking at these paintings, and it took a minute for it to register what I was seeing. But what I was seeing seemed to be very disturbing.
So, and I was like, I could see that.
And it actually kind of freaked him out a little bit because the art was so detailed, but was it's got a lot of sexual innuendo with the alien and all of that stuff. And if you've ever seen any of his other art and whatnot, you can definitely see all of that there.
This movie's basically about sexual assault. These are giant dick aliens that come and impregnate you.
It's a flying dick. Matra! Matra!
It's terrifying. I mean, shit.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, and I want to read a quote from the screenwriter, Ron Shusett, I think is his name.
Dan said, somehow the monster has to get on board the ship in a way that'll amaze everybody. And so I woke up in the middle of the night, and I said, Dan, I have an idea. And he said, what? And I said, the monster screws one of the people. He says, what? What are you talking about? I said, he jumps in his face, plants a tube down him, inserts his seed in him, and later it comes bursting out of his stomach. And Dan goes, oh.
He does. He face fucks him.
Yeah, basically.
That's the easiest way to put it is what happens.
And honestly, I mean, that whole aspect of how this alien, becomes what it is and whatnot is fucking terrifying, man. And but yeah, I mean, before we get on to the alien, I still want to talk about the ship. And
the space jockey.
The space jockey, man. Jesus. And we know where that's gone in recent years.
With Prometheus and all that. Yeah.
And for I have some stuff about Prometheus that I want to talk about within this later, but not so much here because you got the engineers and all that stuff. And honestly, I like watching this movie through the lens of this is just an alien spacecraft they found. I don't really want to bring my Prometheus stuff to this movie.
No. You got to just watch it as is and forget all that shit. And the scale of him is just amazing. When they climb up over that little ridge and you see how small they are. You see them there and you go, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
And it's just so alien. I mean, that's Geiger's, tapping into something that feels so unearthly, so bizarre. And like, it kind of looks like an elephant skull. It's kind of,
but it has the human aspect to it too.
Sure.
Like the
it's
design.
like
and that's where I think you can even kind of see Dallas as he stares at it is like, what the hell am I looking at? Because this is alien, obviously, but why does it have a human look, little details to it that would be human?
All right, arms and legs.
Yeah, and Dallas's observation is, he even says it in the movies, like something protruded out of the rib cage.
The
So he's
ribs are
viewing
out.
it as some form of an endoskeleton for an alien, which is at the time we had no reason to believe that it wasn't.
Like he exploded from inside.
I wonder what happened to the rest of the crew. Let's get the hell out of here.
I'm not crazy about Lambert in the movie, but I think
I like Lambert, but go ahead.
But I think she makes valid points, and I like the bickering between her and Ripley and whatnot. I think she works here. It's just, if I was going to rank the crew of the Nostromo, she'd probably be at the bottom somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, she's not brave per se, but she's also like takes things seriously before a lot of the others do. Well, they're a little willy-nilly about certain things. She's like, obviously she didn't agree with
see, that's where a lot of the confrontation between Ripley after they get back to the ship, she's very upset that Ripley does what she does. But, you were just thinking, you were just thinking we need to get out of here. And now we've got a situation on our hands, and you want to throw all protocol out the window and just get on the ship and go. I can understand the human side of that. Like, no, I want to be back on my.
You wanted to leave Kane on the to die. Yeah,
just leaving. Yeah. But let's talk about the egg. I want to talk about the eggs when we get to that.
Yes, the eggs. I mean, what another amazing design.
Now,
giant egg,
very original. Like, I mean, I have a joke because I hate avocados, and I actually call them alien eggs. That's what I call them. I mean, me and my girlfriend go back and forth. I don't think she's really seen these movies or doesn't remember them, but she doesn't get my reference. But most people who have, they go, "Holy shit, yeah, an avocado."
Yeah,
it does work. But it's one reason I don't like avocados. I'm waiting for the face hugger to jump out. I love when you zoom in on the egg and you can see like the skin bubbling and literally this black stuff, and it's dripping upward.
But that's the connection that I was going to bring up. One of the connections I was going to bring up to Prometheus is when Jenny and I were watching this, I was like, holy shit.
They do the up drip.
Fucking black goo from Prometheus. Like, never noticed it before.
Doesn't that drip up too in Prometheus, or am I crazy?
I think it does its own thing. I don't know if we ever see it drip up, but I think it does move omnidirectional.
Yeah, because remember, he pulls it out in Prometheus, and it's like in a glass vial.
Yeah.
And then I forgot the character's name. But
the thing they do here that they don't really do in the other movies that I can remember is when he's looking at the egg and he's shining the light in, how it's translucent.
Yeah.
And you can see the alien moving around in it. I don't remember them doing stuff like that.
Just like a regular egg. You can do that with a regular egg too.
Yeah, if you shine a light through the other side of an egg, you can see inside of it. Yeah.
Huh. Well, they don't do it in any of the other movies, so I was like, wow, I'm surprised they did that here and we never saw it again, but I love it.
Yeah, and at this point, Kane can see this thing moving inside the fucking egg.
This is when you leave, bro.
Go.
This is when you leave, bro.
Yeah. Oh shit! I found something weird. We gotta go.
Let's go. Let's go.
I think
we'll call it back in. We're out.
Jenny was like, his face is so close to that. He's stupid.
Yeah. Ridley Scott probably took criticism there and said, "Oh yeah, watch this." in Prometheus, where he made it even worse. But
right. When that face hugger jumps out of there and gets Kane, man, like that's a jump scare that's still like, it doesn't get me anymore. But I remember the first time I watched this movie. Yeah, that shit got me, man.
There are a handful of excellent jump scares, and they're all set up perfectly, and there's not too many of them. It's like 3 or 4 good ones, and they're all set up so wonderfully. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel,
Yeah. Well, I
manipulative.
mean, I think Hollywood has cheapened the jump scare because you expect it, but in 1979, it wasn't a thing in every horror movie per se. You know,
I feel like James Wan got creative with it with The Conjuring in a couple of his other movies, because there's certain points in The Conjuring where I was expecting a jump scare to happen, and he's just building the tension.
Yeah.
And then the jump scare happens probably like 5 seconds later than you thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, when they open the cabinet door and you expect them to shut it, and there's your jump scare, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And he shuts it, then he turns around. It's a jump scare.
Yeah.
Big deal.
No. Yeah.
James Wan stinks.
I don't know. Have you seen *Malignant*?
I have. I liked it. I mean, it was okay. I didn't love
I prefer The Conjuring, but I like
the first Conjuring. The first Conjuring is
really good.
Yeah.
What I think is also really creative here is the video feed from the suits that Ash is watching as they're going to the ship and coming back. And I kind of like that they stuck with that aspect with Aliens, and they do more with it in Aliens.
Yep.
I really like that a lot.
You mean even though that you want to give all the credit to James Cameron for that shit? Give me a break. Give me a break. Sorry, go ahead.
We could talk about that.
I think I was just giving recognition to Ridley Scott here, Eric. But no, when they get back to the ship and this whole confrontation between Ripley and them and her letting them on the ship, I love this. And I love that Ripley pretty much keeps her calm during all of this.
Hey, Ripley.
Right here.
We're clean. Let us in.
What happened to Kane?
Something has attached itself to him. We have to get him to the infirmary right away.
What kind of thing? I need a clear definition.
An organism. Open the hatch.
No.
Sigourney Weaver is perfect in this movie. Every line is perfect.
Yeah.
Everything, every moment is perfection. I don't know what it is about. Like, I love the way she looks in this movie. Like, just she doesn't overact it. She's just, I don't know. She's like majestic. I'm just like blown
She's
away.
A fucking unicorn, Eric. Is that what you're trying to say?
She is. She's amazing.
It's something
Just
about
rainbows shooting out of her ass.
She just nails it, dude.
She's got those strong cheekbones, and
she's very angular face, and not just the sort of strong woman thing, which is totally there, but also just acting like natural, like just when she's in tough situations and panicking or being scared when she's supposed to be scared, and she's not like fearless or anything. She's just very realistic, very natural performance. When things are crazy, she's terrified. When she's having to take care of business, she's a badass. When she's arguing with somebody, she holds her she's just so awesome. You know?
And even when all this stuff
can't say enough.
When all this stuff goes down with Ash later, like you can tell she's scared to death, but she's still like she's still upholding her position on this ship.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she doesn't know that Ash is a android, but
Yeah. Well, a couple movie facts. Ripley was originally supposed to be a guy.
Well,
and they changed it because the studio thought it'd be a little better to have at this time of the world to maybe have a strong female character instead of just a standard guy. And go ahead, Eric.
Oh, just to piggyback that, I read that the script was, the casting director said that all the roles are genderless, so that that every role, and if you think about it, any role could be swapped with a male or a female. Like the people, the characters in this movie really aren't defined by their gender.
Right.
It really doesn't come into the film at all. There's no romance. It's literally just each person has a personality, and their gender is almost irrelevant. I mean, they could all argue with Ripley just as well if she was a guy. So that's pretty interesting on that level too.
Right.
Yeah. Even though it's obviously some sexuality on there, because on the wall is a whole wall full of naked women in one of those guys' lockers.
Okay, so
how do you know it's the guy's locker? Maybe it's Ripley's locker.
Let's take bets. Is it Parker's locker or is it
Brett's? It's Parker or Brett. It's one of them two, more than likely.
It was just anatomy lesson stuff, Ash's stuff on there.
But the thing with, and I was going to bring up a second note with Ash, is Ash wasn't in the original script. The producers put his character into the movie.
I think it works though. I mean, I
think it ends up.
Well, it becomes a key aspect of alien films is having a. I mean, you can't have an alien film without an android somewhere.
I'm going back a little bit here, but I also love that they're always bitching about the food on the ship too. Like the coffee is the only thing good on the ship. And they continue to bitch about the food in Aliens. Like this is a very, very good. Like, I love the way they set up character in this movie and going into the next one. Once you get into Alien 3 and so on, that's a different story. But I really like when Lambert gets on the ship and fucking clocks Ripley.
Slaps the shit out of her. Bitch. Wow.
And
so who's the strong woman type now, Eric? Lambert is. She bitch slapped her.
I think Ripley would beat the holy shit out of Lambert if, you know.
Well, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up here. I mean, do we think Ripley is hardened at this point, or do we think that this situation led her to be the hard ass she becomes in Aliens?
Yeah, I mean, she's not a soldier or anything at this point.
Right.
She's just following protocol through the whole movie, basically.
Right.
Yeah. She's just doing her job
through
the whole movie. But yeah, after this, it's become, hey, I've dulled my senses to the shit that I've been through. I will fucking maintain and persevere to save everybody's ass.
Right.
That's pretty much what happens.
But I love this whole scene with them bringing Kane in, just looking over this face hugger.
The reveal of the face hugger. With when it tightens around his neck.
Yeah.
And
how he's sweating
so
profusely.
Real.
And
yeah, everyone's sweating in this movie. It's wet, it's sweaty, it's dirty. I mean, that's another thing that makes it feel realistic. Everything feels lived in,
But there's the other side of that on the other side of the wall where you got Parker and Brett and Ripley looking in at what's going on. How many fucking times does Parker say, why don't we freeze him?
Yeah, that's what I said. If they would have fucking listened to Parker, we're done.
Why don't you guys freeze him? How come they don't freeze him? Well, maybe she has a point, Who the hell knows what that thing is? I'm gonna get that off. How come they don't freeze him? How come you guys don't freeze him?
Well, I mean, if they listened to Parker, they likely would have froze him, brought him to Earth, and then.
And that's what
everyone on Earth.
Jenny was trying to make that argument too. She was like, "Yep, there you go. You should freeze him." I was like, "No, then you got an alien on Earth, and that's a bigger problem."
Yeah, it's a much bigger problem.
Yeah.
And then we
look at it that way.
And then we get the reveal of the acid for blood, which again, like, not only do you give us a perfect design for an alien, you also give us this little undercurrent of like, oh, you think you're going to kill him, but they're still going to fuck you up even if you try to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that simple. You can't just blow it away like every other movie, right?
And even the suspense of when the acid hits the ground and they're like, oh shit, this stuff's going to go through the hole. Like, that causes another big problem. So, they really are in a predicament where they've got to be, they've got to defend themselves, but they've got to be very careful the way they do it. So everything about this movie is really fucking smart, man.
I just want to know why the acid didn't keep going.
I think it loses potency.
It's not enough. Yeah.
It loses potency the longer you stretch it.
I guess so.
As it reacts with the metal,
seems like
some of it
writing.
is lost.
Lazy writing.
Well, I mean,
no, it isn't lazy writing. It's alien blood. You don't know what properties it has. Moving on.
But after the fact is, okay, well, we tried the alien thing, we put him away, and like you said, Ash left him outside, and then we come back and everybody's talking and they look over, facehugger's gone.
Yeah, this is where Ash isn't as reliable as you thought he was.
Yeah,
right here, they should all be looking at Ash like, hey, what the hell? Why was he not in that behind the glass thing? Why is he just out hanging out? It actually takes them a while to close the door when they come in too, which is a little bothersome. It's like, you can let this thing scurry out.
Well, that's the kind of thing, like you said, when I go back and watch it, the little things that Ash does, because he's the one who closes the door. It's like, he probably waited. fuck, it didn't run out. I'm going to go ahead and shut the door. I was hoping it was going to run out because he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know that it if it's alive or dead after it left Kane's body. So
and that's another tension building part of this, and another smart direction with the writing, in my opinion, is they only know this alien as this face hugger, and once it's gone, they're like, oh, like they think that's their threat, this small little alien. And then we even get that sort of same scenario when the chest burster comes out of Kane. It's small, and they really don't have any idea the scale that this alien is going to become.
Well, the one thing I want to talk about is like, okay, it falls out of the ceiling, it's dead.
Yeah.
You know, but then they touch it, but yet the legs close, so they said it's a reflex.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're poking at this thing, and it's all gooey and fleshy.
Yeah. they knew that it was like down his throat, right? And they had like imaging, like a X-ray or some kind of thing.
Well, they were convinced that it was feeding him oxygen, and if they took it off of him, he wouldn't be able to breathe.
You just think that they would have. I mean, obviously, we know the answer to this is Ash, but you would think that they would do some kind of scan to see if he had any foreign business going on. But yeah, Ash is obviously not doing his job like he should, and so then we have the next eating scene, which is, of course, that's the scene of the movie, really, right? For most people.
I want to ask.
I would say maybe not for fans, but I would say as like far as like the pop culture zeitgeist, this movie is known for the chest burst, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, the thing is, like, I love all the red herrings this movie gives you with the aliens, because you've got different versions of it and all that stuff. Because I mean, you've got your face hugger, which is completely different entity from the chest burster. And I love that they play with you a little bit. They're like, oh, this is a threat. Oh, well, the threat's dead. Oh, well, here's another threat. And you thought that threat was bad. This one's even worse.
Yeah.
And the reveal of this thing. And I wanted to ask, who did it better, Alien or Spaceballs?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Ooh, I don't know. Because
Spaceballs is derivative, therefore Alien is better.
I don't know. I still love my space. I even sent you guys a Spaceballs Alien on the text thread today. So, but
love Spaceballs.
Spaceballs is definitely a superior movie to this.
I think
it is.
I think the first time. I think the first time I saw Spaceballs, I didn't get the reference because I don't think I had seen Alien at that point. And I love that in Spaceballs, it's John Hurt that it happened.
No.
Yeah.
Not again.
Tim,
not again.
Not again.
Not again. But it was cool that he returned to do that, and he had the humor to do it again for that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
With Mel Brooks. But the thing is that this scene, like you could, I'd read in this when they were shooting the scene, John Hurt knew what was going to go on. He knew everything,
but nobody else did.
But the cast was only knew that something was going to happen, but they didn't know. And when they shot the scene of when it actually burst out of his chest, the screaming and their facial reactions are real.
I don't think anybody had any idea that it would become a kind of film classic. It was much publicized, the fact that the cast didn't know what was going to happen.
That was the first take. It was everybody's reaction. When that thing burst out of there, and they shot me with an entire blood pellet. It was like a jet of blood that hit I was so taken aback. My knees hit the back of the banquette, and I flipped upside down, and I had 2 cowboy boots sticking up. I turn over, I realize they're still shooting. I have to get up, and I continue acting.
And I think that's awesome that Ridley Scott and everybody else said the best way to get the best reaction is for you not to know. The human reaction to not knowing and it fucking happened, blood squirting on your face, you can't act that.
Well, it's, if you want to go back and listen to our Die Hard episode, I'll link it below. But we talked about when they drop Alan Rickman off of the building at the end of Die Hard, they told him they were going to drop him on 3, and they dropped him on 2. So that look on Alan Rickman's face when he's falling is a genuine response. They wanted a genuine response from him falling. So directors have been doing that for quite some time, and it works it works to the best effect here. And
I was going to say the other thing I wanted to point out about this scene is, we were talking about the whole Ash thing where I said after you've seen what happens and you go back, the whole entire time Kane's eating, Ash is analyzing him the whole entire time, and he's kind of
almost like he's a computer.
He's expecting something.
Right. And he's hungry too. He's really hungry.
Yep. Yeah. Can we have one more meal before we go back to sleep? If they wouldn't have eaten, we would have been in the same situation that Parker was proposing about freezing him and going home. So good thing they had the Last Supper.
Almost Famous.
I know that, dude.
I don't know them.
I know her. Haven't you ever heard of that guy? That guy who was in that movie that was out last year?
I'm sort of famous for being almost famous.
7 cast members in this movie, not much to talk about, but I think the cast in this movie, aside from 1 or 2 actors, are all great, Almost Famous.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, there's so many character actors in this that have gone on to do so many films, and they don't fit that. They don't fit that like household name thing.
Yeah,
that we always talk about. So Sigourney Weaver, obviously the biggest star from this movie, but
Tom Skerritt was big in the 80s, and
Top Gun, all that stuff. Everybody knew him.
But yeah, I mean, Ian Holm. I don't know much about what Ian Holm was doing around this time, but I mean, we obviously got him into the Lord of the Rings movies and all that.
Fifth Element, From Hell.
Yeah, and
no, he was in Chariots of Fire, dude. He was well known.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't seen Chariots of Fire, so
yeah, he was. I think he won an Academy Award or something for that.
Brazil.
There's a handful of actors that kind of brought on our little segment that we do here with Almost Famous, is like those guys you see in every movie but weren't uber famous, like Harry Dean
Stanton.
Classic. Same with John Hurt. I mean, John Hurt has been in a fuck ton of movies.
Yep.
And I would say
I would say John Hurt's won an Academy Award. He's not Almost Famous.
Well, I'm saying like
he's still too well known of an actor.
But Yaphet Kotto has been on our show before and was I believe our Almost Famous pick for The Running Man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's either between Harry Dean Stanton or him.
Yeah.
Well, and we lost both of them recently too.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kotto last year and Stanton a few years back. So that's kind of a bummer. Oh, actually, John Hurt too. So lost all of them in the past like 4 years. So it's pretty wild.
Is Tom Skerritt still kicking around?
Oh yeah.
He was in I think he was in one of the Ted movies. So I think he showed up. So yeah, I think he's still around.
But don't discount Veronica Cartwright. I mean, she's probably not a household name, but she did her fair share of movies in the 80s. I remember her distinctly from a Jack Nicholson movie called Witches of Eastwick.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to talk about that on this show at some point. That's one I watched a lot when I was a kid for some reason. Like
my mom loves that movie, so yeah, I saw it a lot.
She's in Body Snatchers too. The year before this. So
and oh man, like I had not seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers until a few years ago, but oh man, that's a great fucking sci-fi flick, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that one eventually. You have to think.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, I would say it's got to be Yaphet Kotto or Veronica Cartwright here. What do you guys think?
Just the cast is amazing. I mean, the whole cast is perfect. I wouldn't want to change anybody. They all are cool as shit in their roles. So many great actors that went on to do so many excellent films after that. And
I say Yaphet Kotto or Harry Dean Stanton. So
yeah,
I think Yaphet Kotto kind of goes in the background a little bit more than Harry Dean Stanton. You could recognize Harry Dean Stanton probably in more movies than Yaphet Kotto for sure.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, after this watch, I almost want to say Yaphet Kotto is my MVP of this movie. I fucking love every scene he's in this.
Oh yeah, and he lasts longer, so he's in it more.
Yeah.
And no, he kills it. I mean, he is such a lovable character almost right away.
And I think he was supposed to be like, I think he was meant to be a grating character because of him complaining the whole time about all the situation. But
that's the magic of the performance, is that he is complaining the whole time, but he's still likable.
Yeah, like I identify with him probably more than anybody, because I would probably be the one bitching about what's going on.
Yeah, Josh is the complainer.
I don't know about that.
He seems to be like a caring obviously he cares about Brett, but like even as he argues with Ripley and people like that, he's not being an asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's almost playful in his performance.
I don't know. He and Brett kind of teeter on being an asshole to Ripley, especially in that scene between them in the hall. But again, it's just it's just the situation, I think, is really gotten to everybody. But well, let's talk about this alien loose on this fucking Manhattan-sized spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. He admitted it. It's the size of Manhattan.
I was just quoting you, Jason.
No, you know it's true.
I think you can get actual size dimensions for the Nostromo. I'll put that together with an actual measurement of Manhattan, and we'll see how close they are. We'll see how close they are.
But the other aspect of this, especially only seeing Aliens before this one, is Aliens. You've got a fucking armory of weapons to deal with these aliens in that movie, and it was a bit. I was a bit taken aback the first time I watched this, because you go back and you're like, you're expecting it to be similar to Aliens in that way, but no, these are just workers and they don't have traditional weapons on this ship. So what the hell are they supposed to defend themselves with? And I like that's another aspect of all of this that just makes their situation even worse. I mean, you've got flamethrowers. I think there is one gun of some sort.
There's like a cattle prod that they take out, but it doesn't really work. They have to kind of ditch that pretty quickly. So, by the way, I did find the comparison between the landscape on the computer and the what you call it,
Joy Division,
the Joy
Division shirt, and so you can put that up on the screen now.
It's too fucking similar, man.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just fans of the movie, so.
No, and I'm not blaming them. You know, I'm not trying to say, oh, fucking Joy Division. I'm just saying, like, I had never noticed that before, and I've seen people wear that shirt all over the place.
Sure.
And I kind of feel like I'm the idiot because I never, like, I don't know Alien well enough to associate that. Oh, that was from the movie Alien.
And now you do it. Now every time you walk by, you go, hey, I like Alien too.
Right.
They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, now we've got an alien on the loose. I mean, they've only seen this small little chest burster come out. Now, this is one aspect of it. There's a lot to love in this movie, but when the chest burster runs away,
that was just kind of, let's just get the alien off the table. Let's just look like they kind of just drug him off the table onto the floor.
Yeah,
and everything. It's kind of, that's probably one of the lower things on the pole there of things they could have done. So.
Yeah, it's a little on a wire. Doesn't look all that great.
That's where I think Spaceballs did a better job.
Because he
hello, my baby. Hello, my mother. Hello, my ragtime. Yeah.
No can in Alien.
Come on.
Unfortunately,
Spaceballs did that part better. We'll just admit it, and then we can move on.
I will. I'll admit that.
Fair enough.
But I mean, all right, I want to know, all right, how much time takes place from the time this happens and then they go looking for it and all this stuff, and then Brett is in the dude when he's walking around in there with all the chains, I'm like, is Pinhead gonna show up?
How cool is that
chains
set?
And all that stuff? I'm literally like, Hellraiser used this set in the 80s to shoot
just on this ship. You know, this is a relatively small movie, really. You know, most of it takes place on one ship. We've got the cockpit area, we've got the place with the pods, and then you know, you got a lot of hallways, obviously, and then you've got this crazy raining, it's like dripping water in there with the chains. There's like incinerators and fire around, and it's like all it's more of a red orangey type room. We've got like lots of different, like a variety of things for a movie that is largely just metal hallways. You occasionally have these new rooms, these new areas that look amazing.
Yeah.
Looking up and have that rain coming down.
And even though, as Jason says, this ship is the size of Manhattan, like it still doesn't take away from the claustrophobia of the fact that, like, okay, maybe it is a big ship, but you've got a fucking alien loose in this ship.
It's also dark in there.
Yeah.
And the alien looks like everything on the wall. So
much so later that
that it actually camouflages itself in the pipes and whatnot, but in the cords. But yeah, it could be anywhere. There's so many dark corners in this movie. Everywhere there's a dark corner. It could be literally anywhere.
All right. Well, this is the question I got. We got Brett in the room. He's looking around. How many times did it take you to realize that the alien was hanging from the chain on the first shot?
Is that chain swing in the theatrical? I can't remember.
I think that's one of the differences in the theatrical cut and the director's cut. I can't remember if there is a shot of the alien on the chain. It is very brief.
It's quick.
Glimpse of it.
The version I watched, the director's cut. I don't know if this is a director's cut thing or not, because I haven't. This is the first time I've watched the director's cut, but it does have like a full-on alien swinging
hanging on the chain.
Yeah,
he's all bunched up like this, like he's hanging like this.
Yeah,
with his head down.
It's still pretty cool, but I'm trying to think, is that in the theatrical or not? I can't remember.
But that's a cool fucking shot, even though it's just a quick glimpse. Yeah. And I mean, I can't remember how many times. I don't remember seeing it, but I definitely noticed it the last couple times. So maybe I have watched the director's cut the last couple times.
But to go back to your question about how much time's passed, that's one thing I think they tend to leave very open-ended in all the alien movies, is like how much time really does have to pass before this thing reaches its full size. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's quick.
Because I mean, Brett finds the skin that it sheds, and it's still very small. But it's like I'm having a hard time believing that giant fucking alien shedded that little, came out of that little shed of skin.
Right. It's like it grew in a few hours or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would figure it would have to go through a cocoon stage at least a couple of times to reach that, because this thing is huge. I mean, it was played. The actor in it was 6'10".
Yeah. He's a big dude.
He was a Nigerian student that they found, and he wore the suit. He's huge. And it was just like, you went from literally running across the table, maybe 1.5 feet high, to that in a matter of hours.
Yeah.
And like you said, all you find is this little piece of skin of the original husk.
Well, he's an alien. Maybe there's more skins laying around too. He just really, or maybe after that one skin is done, it doesn't shed again.
Maybe.
It's an alien. Can't say for sure.
I've always had
speculate.
When Brett is letting the water fall on his face, how much of that is water and how much of it is like alien goo is what I'm wondering.
Or how clean is this water? He drinks it, so I guess it's pretty clean. But yeah, is this some kind of like water treatment area of the place, like where they're recycling water somehow?
Because there's a lot of humidity or something in there.
Yeah, he drinks it. I mean, he straight up.
It may be there to create humidity on the ship like that. But now that Josh says that, I kind of wonder if it was an R. Kelly scene. Is it like golden showers from the alien?
Jesus Christ!
Hey, you're talking about saliva. Maybe he's got to urinate. Hey, dude, he just grew up.
Yeah,
he's got to pee.
Got to pee. Everyone pees.
But that reveal when Brett turns around and sees that face there, and I've always seen like the toy designs and everything of the original Alien, how it has the transparent dome on its head and you can kind of see the skull underneath.
Yeah.
I've never really been able to identify that in any of the Alien movies, but I feel like in this one, like if you look at it just right, when the light reflects on it, you can kind of see it in that shot a little bit. But I've never thought that was super prominent in this movie. But in the toy designs and all that stuff, you see that all the time. But I love when you get that straight on shot of the xenomorph and the mouth and how much fucking sweat or goo or whatever it is just pouring off of its face. It is something special. And have we had a better creature design than this?
Other than the Predator.
That would have been my next one, is the Predator. But
Predator's good, but it's not better than this.
I'm talking about overall monster feature. I like the Predators. So
you're one ugly motherfucker.
Well, the Predators are more humanoid than the
actual
xenomorph.
design. The Predators are like a bodybuilder with long fingernails, and then the head. But this,
I'm just saying, I like the Predator.
I'm talking like you could the Predator you could mistake for a man if you didn't see its face almost. A xenomorph, there's no mistaking that is something that you've never seen before.
No,
And-
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
And like, I don't know if we're ever, this is something I was talking about on the Texas Chainsaw episode. I don't know if we're ever going to see something that's going to top that design, especially in the digital age of filmmaking. I was talking with Jason briefly about this. Like, the closest thing I could think would be something like A Quiet Place. And like, those creatures are unique, but they're all CG. There's not really, I don't know, like the design of them seems like it's inspired by something like this. Like, I don't know. This is probably one of the most original creature designs I think we've ever seen. And I don't know if we'll ever get anything this good again.
It's like a curve, because it got, you have early monster designs that are great, like Gilman or whatever. It's like a curve, because this is like peaking where it's all practical and you're reaching like this epic level of design, and then it starts to go down because everything feels kind of, how many different creatures can you come up with? Like Pale Man comes to mind as like a really unique design for a creature.
Pale Man?
The Pale Man in Pan's Labyrinth,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
gotcha. I haven't seen that movie a whole lot. So.
Just thinking of like really, unusual designs that feel completely original.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Xenomorph is a classic. Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. But like I said, of alien designs, I think you got Alien and Predator, and then that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, as far as a main like creature in a movie that the main focus of is, that's, I mean, you got like you said, Quiet Place, the CGI and all that stuff like that. Maybe the Cloverfield thing, because I know a lot of people like that movie and they like the monster.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, the thing about Cloverfield is it's so big in scale, and it's another CGI monster.
Exactly.
I honestly feel like something in the new Godzilla movies looks a bit better than the Cloverfield, but it still looks CG.
Oh.
I don't know if we're ever going to get something practical like that again that's going to be that like influential to.
It just comes back to Geiger again, and Geiger's like completely original vision and completely unique vision of these things. They're just so cold and strange, and
superbly. Everyone else sort of thought he was so weird that they didn't work with him too much. And as a result, that was good. It was great for Dan and I, because we got so much input, getting along with him so well. People would kind of shy away from him. They'd say he was obsessed in his work. He had bones and of all kinds all over the place.
But I think ultimately that's why all the stuff in this movie works the way it does, is because all this shit is in camera. People are looking at something real. They're reacting to something real. They're on a real platform.
It's really wet. It's really slimy.
Yeah.
It's really there. Like, yeah.
Like again, with the space jockey scene, like that scene is iconic because it is grand in scale, and the actors are actually there with that. It's not something that's being put in post-production. You know what I mean?
Right.
All those aspects of this movie make it absolutely outstanding.
Just great puppeteering and making of that creature, period.
And not just the adult version, but just the whole like life cycle, right?
Yes.
The egg, like every stage of it is masterful, and you wouldn't really change any of it.
Right.
Except for the chest bursters running form. Other than that, everything, the chest burster in general is a little weak, I think, but
it's the weakest part.
Yeah. But honestly, like the face hugger looks like a real animal. Like it looks like a real creature. The knuckles and the skin of it and everything. It just,
I even like the underside of it when they're kind of doing that autopsy on it.
And that's clearly like real animal matter.
Yeah.
Some kind of like clam or something. They've got some kind of,
I think they use oysters and some other seafood stuff. Yeah.
I thought what was funny is I had a friend of mine come to visit me last night. He watched
that is funny.
Yeah, because I don't have friends except for you guys. But he's not a big sci-fi person at all. He just hung out to watch the movie while I was taking my notes, and we got to this part where they're poking at the face hugger. He's like, man, that thing looks pretty tasty. You fried it up with some peppers and onions. It might be pretty good. And I'm like, looking at him like, what the fuck are you looking at?
This guy's hungry.
It also kind of resembles a vagina, which kind of adds to the whole sexual nature of all of this.
Face fucker.
I mean, yeah, everything is about sex in this, and
so it's not a face hugger, it's a face fucker.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's it. Yep.
Hug is a little more too positive of a word, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
because
more than a hug.
Yeah, when you hug somebody, you're showing them an endearment and like, oh, I love you. No, he's being face raped and face fucked by an alien, and it's putting an egg inside of him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's not pleasant at all.
Now, I love the whole aspect of Dallas going through the air ducts and them trying to block off the alien from scouring around.
Good plan, rational plan. Doesn't seem crazy or anything.
Make it go where you want it to go.
I really like how the doors close.
Oh, dude, I got that in my notes. That sound.
But the sound is like nails on a chalkboard to me, man.
Dude,
it's
and every time I watch it, I know what's gonna happen. But I was waiting, dude. Y'all totally missed a great kill scene of one of those doors closing on somebody and cutting them in half.
That would be
with
good.
The alien standing right over the top of it as it happens, because like they come through a hole and there's an alien. He freezes and the door closes and cuts him. I mean, I had that in my notes. I'm glad you brought that up, dude. That noise is scary.
Yeah, it's like a camera shutter.
Yeah,
and I so much hate that like Dallas's death has been spoiled as like this, like top 50 jump scares of all time and all that. Like, I don't know, like in a sense, like I love the fact that people talk about movies like we do on this podcast and YouTube and everything. But the other sense of it is like, we talk about this stuff so much, like it's hard for those kind of things to be a first experience for people now.
Yeah.
And like, again, just some of the things that I would love to go back and watch for the first time again.
Yeah.
That scene in particular is one of them where it's like,
it got a scream out of my wife. So
yeah.
She doesn't like jump scares in general, but yeah, that one is the most effective jump scare in the movie, obviously.
I think so.
And yeah, it's perfect. You are just starting to kind of let your guard down for like a split second and kabam.
Yeah.
Well, because they're building the tension of I've lost you, and then you got this machine that's saying something is moving near you, and it's moving.
Yeah,
like, get out of there, get out, and everybody's screaming at him, and then he goes down to run away, and then turns around, and that.
Like, but that's the aspect of it I love is like you're assuming that he's in this one level of an air duct.
Yeah.
And then no, he's on the next level. That's why you seeing moving and you don't see anything on the level you're on. Like just smart, man. It's so good.
Well, the motion sensor thing gets brought through the series too. Yeah. And I remember playing, I don't know if
Alien Isolation.
No, I did play that a little bit, but did you ever play Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo?
No.
Back in the day?
I did.
Oh, well, it had like a motion sensor, and
it definitely feels like a video
coming up on you. I mean it's a great that's another like classic thing, along with like the flamethrower, and like there's different things that become part of this franchise that kind of need to be in every version. You need to have an android on the ship,
right,
or on the in the
gotta have the motion thing. I think it's fun that you're bringing up that in the video game. Me and Josh have a buddy of ours, JL. I remember in that Alien Isolation game, I'm not a gamer, but he was, and I was hanging out with him, and I actually think there were times of watching him play that game, he was frightened.
Oh, it's scary because
that noise of that he's like, I don't know what the beeping noise is. I said, dude, that's the freaking finder from the movies. The alien's right there. And he would turn around and boom, he's like throwing down the freaking controller and shit. It is,
because it's immersive, because you feel like you're there, and then the thing's getting closer. It's a great effect to build suspense. When there's just this little blinking dot on this little crappy.
Never knew a blinking dot could give you so much anxiety.
You do a lot with a little, like every great movie. Like you're not getting a ton of clear shots of the alien,
right?
It's just like Jaws, where the limitations are what make it so great. They pick their moments and they hit it out of the park on every moment.
And the other aspect is also the reveal that Ash is an android. Like, I can only imagine when you're watching this movie for the first time, you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? This dude's like sweating white goo. And
you want to talk about effects. the effects of him when he comes apart and just how totally weird it is, that milky substance.
Yeah.
And the tubes with the little balls, like it's not like what you would think a robot looks like.
Well, that was something I had a note for here is like, I was a little confused by that when you get Bishop torn apart in Aliens and you got all the, it's not metal. It's not an endoskeleton like a Terminator or whatnot. That's what I associate for as a robot.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, is there a difference between an android and a robot? Like, is there like androids? I'm starting to put together almost like a Blade Runner sort of thing. Is like an android is like organic parts mixed with technology, whereas a robot is a completely,
is a T-800.
Yeah, like,
hey, what the hell is with the magazine attack,
dude? I would say, yeah, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. I wanted to talk about the whole attack altogether because she, and not only that, but Ripley sees the whole whatever something 937 that she's not supposed to be reading.
Yeah.
And then she turns and there's Ash standing
He's right
next to
there.
her.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit. But yeah, when he starts arguing with her and you see the milky sweat like that, but when he holds her down and just takes that freaking magazine and tries to shove it down in her mouth, you're like,
it's
what's
weird.
With the oral asphyxiation of getting face fucked in this movie.
Well, I mean,
Magazines and
it
face
is
hugger.
it does mirror like the sort of violation, of all these attacks, and it is weirdly phallic, and it's unsettling as hell. Like, you're like, why is he doing that? Why doesn't he just break her neck?
Right.
Yeah, he's obviously, because he throws her across the room with nothing. He just poof.
Right. He can just
basically grab her and you're dead.
There's the shot when Parker comes in though and hits him with the fire extinguisher and knocks his head off.
Yeah.
And when the body gets up and runs towards Parker, that shit looks great. And whoever they've got doing that is doing a great job of hiding his head.
That's great. That's like literal comedy too. Like in the middle of this really unsettling, awful, like there's some weird humor to that where he's bent over backwards and still grabbing him. He's like, get him off me. And he's like, it's weird. It's a weird place to put some comedy, but
it says it's funny. I just in my head. Anybody remember the show Benny Hill?
Yeah, it's like the doctor in
in Reanimator. Yeah.
Reanimator. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. There's some more green light.
Then you've got Ian with his head stuck through the table, lying in a sea of milk and caviar and pasta and glass marbles. I thought the glass marbles were great. They're like memory, clear glass marbles. Poor Ian had to, every time I'd do a take, I'd give him, he hated milk as well, I'd give him a little bit of milk. So he'd say, ready? And then he'd start to talk. And
oh, that's Burke in Aliens calls them a synthetic human is what he calls them.
Right.
So, and yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is like you see them drink and eat. I think you see Bishop eat in Aliens. It's like they have to have some sort of way to process this stuff that they're putting in their, whatever it is.
Maybe they break it down for energy just like we do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like what's in Back to the Future? What's that thing on the back of the car where they put the trash in?
Mr. Fusion?
Mr. Fusion. They got a little Mr. Fusion inside of them.
I need fuel.
But I saw in this conversation that Ripley has with Ash here, how he's talking about this is a perfect specimen. It's a killing machine and all of that. And it really got me going back to David and Prometheus and where he goes in Alien Covenant and how he's obsessed with where this thing came from and how he was created and how this was created. And I can definitely see the genesis of what became Prometheus in here.
Absolutely.
And it's very subtle, but I can see where they were drawing some of those story beats from now.
Yeah. And then the other part about Prometheus is, when this movie, we didn't know anything about a Prometheus or whatever, but in the timeline that takes place before all of this.
Right.
So, and you were talking earlier about the mother computer contacting Wayland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know something
right
is out there.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder if that's why they changed the trajectory of the ship. They're like, oh, well, maybe we found it.
And that was honestly the biggest disappointment for Prometheus for me. I genuinely like Prometheus. And the biggest disappointment of that movie the first time I watched it, though, was I was expecting it to end where we pick up with in this movie.
Like you had to get a whole nother movie, and then it's still not on top of
and
it.
it's you still haven't ended up where this movie starts,
And the other movie, to me, like I like Prometheus too, and I feel like Covenant doesn't do enough different from Prometheus. It just feels redundant at that point for me. Like I obviously they do go a couple different places, but yeah, it doesn't. And of course, everyone wanted to see, what happened with the girl from Prometheus. Yeah, and then they kind of just drop that and give you a little line, and that's where it gets disappointing. I like Prometheus. I think it's great. I don't even mind the decisions by certain people. It doesn't even bother me that much.
I find Parker and Lambert's deaths a little quick and messy, but I also think they're effective because you don't really get to see what happens to them.
I love like the Lambert is the shadow.
Yes, that's a great shot.
She thinks it's Parker, his shadow, because they're in the same room,
right?
But it's and I don't think I ever really noticed it, and maybe till this time, because I just see the shadow. I never really paid attention to it, and then you see the tail in the shadow, and maybe I had a better copy this time and I could see it. But I was like, oh shit!
And I find it kind of weird that it cuts to that shot of the alien like moving really slowly towards Lambert. But I also think it's very tense. So while I find it weird, but I find it
just like Dracula.
I was going to say it's like Bela Lugosi Dracula. Look into my eyes.
And as much of an animal lover as I am, I think I probably would have left Jonesy if it came down to it.
I got a problem with Jonesy. That cat's an asshole.
You do get a pretty gnarly Jonesy jump scare. 2 Jonesy jump scares.
Yeah, he scares the shit out of people, and he's fucking up the escape plan trying to find the damn cat. And also notice she calls the cat Jones.
Yeah.
Over and over. She don't call him Jonesy. She calls him Jones.
That's because he's like her dude. They're close. So he gets a little pet name.
No, Jonesy is the pet name. Jones would be like, freaking whatever. Private Jones, get the fuck over here. Jonesy's like, hey,
I think Jones is short for Jonesy.
It is, but either way, that cat is a asshole. And it's funny too. That cat looks just like my cat, Finn. I was looking. I literally froze the screen when he had that close up at the beginning of the movie of the cat just laying there, and I'm like, Finn's in my lap, and I'm looking at him like, you're on TV. You're famous. But yeah, I wrote that in my notes. Jonesy can be an asshole.
Well, you got to understand, Ripley had everyone she knows is dead. She's out in the middle of space.
Yeah.
This cat is the only other living thing that she could possibly be with. And I don't blame her for trying to save it in that scenario. And I love that at this point, she's not a superhero. She is freaking out. She is scared shitless. She can't hardly breathe. She's holding back tears as she's trying to turn these switches, get this, get that. She is scared shitless.
Dude.
And it just feels so natural, It pulls you right in.
I was gonna put out more about the cat when the after
fucking hell. Back to the cat again.
Yes.
Can we wrap up the cat?
Well, that's the part I'm talking about. She put him in that carrier. And did you notice that the alien looks in the carrier and goes, pop?
Yeah.
He slaps the fucking carrier out of the way. I don't want the fucking cat.
And then when she does put him on the ship, she just tosses the whole case. So that cat's probably in there like, what the fuck is going on right now?
He does get knocked around in the case
alien. What the hell?
We need a cam from inside the cat carrier as the cat's just like banging around inside there.
Sexual abuse, animal abuse. How did this movie ever even get made?
Again, I love the scenes that are basically lit by the flame of the flamethrower. This is where we get the glimpse of of Dallas again.
This is the main thing in the director's cut. They go to this scene of Dallas being cocooned in the room, and honestly, it needed to be cut. I don't think it really serves much of a purpose. I mean, we don't need to know what happened to him at this point.
Well, in the notes, they said the reason they cut because they shot it and then they cut it. They said they felt it took away from her escape scene of things going on.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of pulled it down.
It does because you're totally focused on her escaping, and then all of a sudden you go, "Oh wait, what's going on here?" And then she's
he's all
back to
kill
escaping.
me,
Yeah.
kill me.
And I think that's probably why they went with a lot of that in the next movie, so we can see that shit. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool scene. I think, again, all the design and the makeup and everything there looks great, but it doesn't really need to be in the movie, and then I'm fine with it not being there.
Yeah, if I, now that I've watched the director's cut, I don't feel like I need to again. I'll go back to theatrical. I'm kind of a theatrical cut guy anyway.
You're not the special edition 4K, Screen Factory edition cut like Josh over here.
That's not what those are about.
I'm just gonna name every freaking different version of whatever movie I could think of.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I tend to just watch the theatrical cut mostly because it's usually shorter, and I like things. I like movies to be short.
Eric's a hipster. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'm a hipster.
I do want to say when the Nostromo blows up, another sort of reference to 2001. I was almost expecting the whole wormhole scene to happen, with the light that's blasting. But I love that it's like I think it's 3 different explosions that happen.
Yeah. You think it's over, and then it blasts her again.
Yeah.
I as long as we're talking about little moments, I also really love the shot where her hand reaches up over the thing and she kind of peeks over.
Oh, great
zoom
shot.
in on her fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
great shot. Even
you could take almost
her eyes.
Yeah, you could take almost any screen grab of this movie and frame it and put it on the wall, and I'd love it.
As she's moving through the ship towards that one, like any of those, like where she's up against the wall and it comes up close to her face and she's looking through the doorway and everything. Those are all
even when
great.
she's on the escape ship or whatever.
Yeah.
All those moments with the helmet on, all those things.
Well, before we get to the finale, Jason, whose tagline is it anyway?
It's my tagline.
All
or is it Hollywood's?
Or is it?
Yeah, you guys decide. But kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, since we've had so many re-releases of these movies over and over and over again, because the original one basically only kind of had one. But there are several because they've decided to make more over the years. But again, you guys pick what I did and what Hollywood did, and we'll see who wins. I'm gonna throw the easy one out there. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Real.
Yeah.
The Nostromo just got another passenger.
Fake.
You're both correct. Scariest movie ever made just got scarier.
That doesn't make sense.
That's fake.
Why would it get scarier? Fake.
You're both wrong. That's from the 2003 edition. Terror isn't in the dark. It's inside ... you.
I like that.
That could be real.
I think it might be real.
You're both wrong. I wrote it.
That was a good one.
Man, mine was good. Thank you, Josh. That I got a good one.
Pretty good.
I said it was good. Josh didn't say it was good.
I did say it was good. Shut up.
The Terror Within.
Very similar to the last one. I'll say that one's real if you made the last one.
I'll say it's real.
I wrote it.
Oh my god.
I did that on purpose to throw 2 alike so you would think that I stole it from Hollywood.
Yeah. Good move. It worked.
It's Alien, the 8th passenger.
What?
It's Alien, the 8th passenger.
Fake.
Real.
So bad it had to be real.
Man, y'all both suck, but you're tied at 2. You both, out of all the ones you got 2 each.
I just want to say that's a fucking terrible tagline.
Yeah, dude.
The 8th passenger.
Well, that's why I said, I think, like I said, when I looked them up, they had the dates from all the re-releases and everything like that. I think this shit they added up maybe in foreign releases.
Okay.
Or something like that. The Nostromo just got another passenger.
That's very similar to one you already said, I think.
Real?
I'm going to say fake.
For the win?
Josh wins is fake. But that's it. That's the taglines for this week. Let's wrap this film up, guys. We're on the escape pod. We're trying to get the fuck out of here. And we just blew up the Manhattan on the way out.
Well, Ripley gets in her undie pants.
Now, Jenny and I had a discussion about this.
Those are horrible underwear.
It was the style at the time.
I know it's the 70s, early 80s thing. Those are horrible.
What really matters is that she's more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Again, she's more vulnerable than ever. Yeah. Everyone's dead. She doesn't even have her clothes on. She's more vulnerable than she's ever been in this entire movie. She's isolated with her and the alien. And that's really what matters.
And Jonesy.
Jonesy's been put in the pod at this point.
Yeah, he gets a pod of his own.
Jonesy's not even out. It's really just her and the alien.
Here's where this design of the alien again plays a very integral part. It blends in so well with the atmosphere here.
Absolutely. And that moment when it's in the wall, it totally sells. I mean, even now with the HD and everything, it's not immediately clear if you didn't know it was there.
Dude, I can tell you the first time I saw this movie, I never saw it.
Yeah.
Until hand come out. I mean, as a kid, you're just like, there are so many jump scares in this movie like that they actually scared me. But that one, it was just like, it reset the touch. But the thing is, it reset the toucher and it stayed there. It's like, it has the intellect to know that I have nowhere else to go and I need to get somewhere else. I'm going to hide here until I get to the next location.
And see, that was what I was kind of trying to figure out here is, was it genuinely trying to blend in so it could get to its next destination?
I think so.
And if so, great. That's awesome. But why would it reveal itself to her like it does? I mean, I know she's close to it. Maybe it was a defense mechanism, but I feel like he was tucked in there pretty well and she probably would have never noticed, but he reaches out.
But if you notice, he puts his hand back in and stays there.
Yeah.
It doesn't crawling out until she forces him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get the impression that it's like super intelligent. I
think it has
as intelligent. It has an intelligence, but I don't get the impression that it's like as intelligent as like a human being.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Like complex decisions. I agree. It's hiding, which is something that the smallest animals do. A mouse will hide. It doesn't mean that it's calculating how it's going to get to the next planet and all this kind of stuff. It's hiding. She disturbs it like an animal. You disturb an animal, they kind of sometimes stay where they're at. I don't know. I get more of an animal vibe from it than.
Yeah. I think it's this primordial instinct is to
survive.
Primal.
Yeah.
And it knows that I'm in this little bitty thing. There's nowhere else to go. I have one food source, which is this thing. I need to survive till I get to the next place. And I think, that's our primal instinct is to survive.
But could Ripley herself have sustained that alien's hunger all the way to wherever they were going?
But it doesn't. I guess that's why it was thinking I need to get somewhere else.
And honestly, knowing where the next movie starts, like I don't think that alien could have survived 57 years off of her carcass.
Yeah, I don't think it's calculating these kinds of decisions. Yeah. I think it's luck that in other movies it ends up in cryo, things like that extend it. I think I also love that she's not battling it. I mean, we do see a battle in Aliens, which is admittedly awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a badass.
But she is so she has one play here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got one move. You try to suck it out the airlock. If that doesn't work, you're done. Like you're complete. The just her trying to get into the suit. It gets so tense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The suspense is just building to and this is already after a very suspenseful escape, the explosion. You get a quick breather and then oh shit, and it is by this point it is tense as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's quiet. There's almost no score except for just stuff to make you even more anxious. And and
she also has to calculate that she has to get this thing off the ship and This is the biggest kind of complaint I have with this movie is the acid for blood part. When she shoots it with the harpoon or whatever that thing is, it sprays acid out, which could potentially hurt the ship and cause more problems.
But everything's getting sucked out of the ship. So
Yes,
the
it's
acid
the
goes
vacuum
that
of space is pulling it outward,
right
away from the ship.
So it just goes away. Maybe it splatters a couple little spots. No big deal. It messes up the paint.
Maybe the blood neutralizes in the vacuum of space.
Maybe.
Let's not get ridiculous. Jason.
But
we're talking about a fucking alien movie.
But yeah, when she blows that fucker away with the engine, it's just like, oh, thank Christ, we're out of this.
Yep.
But then you got an alien floating around in space, like, hey,
it's all very practical. There's
Yeah.
nothing crazy. She doesn't fist fight it.
And I love her closing message to whoever is out there. And
I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks. With a little luck, the network will pick me up. This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.
Oh yeah, and also as long as we're just gushing, I love the fact that this doesn't end with, a hand coming up in the window or a face hugger scurrying across the background. Like she gets away.
She gets away, but even like she doesn't get home, she doesn't get rescued. It's still like she's in the same exact position she was in the beginning of this movie.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she hopes she's going to get picked up and you hope for the best, but it's not, she doesn't get carried off on a stretcher and all happy ending. It's a cold ending to a cold movie.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Why?
Oh, that was fucking weak.
All right, Eric, I'm going to let you do the honors.
The good is, I think, it's really hard. Just everything, performances, casting, design, direction, cinematography, music. It's my favorite movie. I don't even have a problem saying that anymore. I've always been like, oh, I can't really pick my favorite, but goddamn, I mean, I just love this movie.
Yeah. Eventually you come around on some stuff like that. It's like, I do that with music too. It's like, picking your favorite movie, that's so hard. Picking your favorite album, that's so hard. And it's like, nah, I fucking love Jaws. I could watch Jaws at any given moment and love every single minute I'm watching it. And this one's another one that's just like that. I mean, this one probably is entering my top 10 for sure after this watch.
Oh, wow. That low. Well, okay. And then, it would be interesting to do a top 10 at some point.
Yeah.
You would hate to hear where I would put it in my list.
I probably would. So good is just everything. Bad, I'm going to say the chest burster scurry isn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that great.
And ugly, everyone wears diapers and onesies in the future. For some reason, little saggy.
It depends, dude. It's future depends.
Saggy undies. Kane wears a corset for some reason with like the laces all the way up the front. I don't know why he's wearing that. So that's going to be my ugly.
That's pretty bad.
Jason, how about you?
It's probably the best space horror movie that we've ever gotten. I mean, I love this movie. Like I love it.
Life Force.
Horizon. No.
Hello.
Fuck, he had to bring it up. Fucking space vampires. But I mean, it really set the standard. Like I said earlier in the movie, it was actually scary when I was a kid, and I love that I can relive those moments because there's not very many movies that just actually scared me, but this one did as a kid. And the camera work and the practical effects that all went into this, sound engineering, everything is great. My bad. Besides, you mentioned the chest burster scurry. I'm gonna go with the cockpit projection scenes when they're outside looking into the cockpit. You can totally tell it's just a projection.
Yeah,
and it's not good because they're like walking around like, hey, look, act like we're not doing anything. But those are pretty bad. And Jonesy is a dick. And then ugly.
I'm not a cat guy. That's fine.
Yeah. And ugly. the science behind you can't scream in space.
I mean, if you got a big breath, then went in space.
Nope. Okay, this all right. hey, because of I knew Eric loves this movie and he would try to argue with me. I wrote down the scientific method of knowing why you can't do it.
Okay, you have a spacesuit on.
I don't care.
If you have a spacesuit on, it has oxygen in there. You can scream.
No. But that's not the tagline. It says space. Means you're not in a suit. You're in fucking space.
You're being too literal.
but it says nobody can hear you scream, and if you can't scream, then that still is true. Nobody can hear you scream.
But you can't scream. You can't call it a scream because it doesn't
that's
happen.
why nobody can hear you scream, because you can't scream. Boom.
But it's not a scream.
I win.
Boom.
Boom.
Scream.
Nobody can hear you fart either, because you can't fart in space.
You!
Can you fart in space? Nobody can smell your farts in space.
All right, Josh, good, bad, and ugly, so we can wrap this up.
Well, fun fact, lest we forget, Dan O'Bannon wrote Life Force also.
Oh, man, his career took a shit storm of a fucking turn. I disagree.
The good.
Along with Toby Hooper's.
The good for me, design. Wow. Everything designed in this fucking movie blows
beautiful.
me away.
It's everything is beautiful. The costumes, the suits, the ships.
Hey, I want to say something about your design thing, dude. The helmet, like the one that Ripley puts on at the end of the movie, the detail work in the little engravings that go around the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's great.
Or
Yeah,
even
awesome. That's awesome.
Even with the ship and stuff, how they've made it look lived in and like everything's dirty. It's not this clean, crispy ship. Like that's one thing about Prometheus is like everything looks nice and neat and crispy and clean. And this one doesn't. This one's just nasty and dirty. And
well, it's a mining ship.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Yeah, it's true. It's a mining ship, not a science operation. Josh, get with it. Oh boy.
Did you watch this movie?
Think for a minute. Just think before you speak.
The bad is the dodgy ADR in some spots. It's honestly, that's just like a nitpick because
we're just nitpicking. It's a good movie.
This movie is pretty much perfect, honestly. Like there's not much I can find to complain about in this movie. I don't think there's anything ugly in this movie. I think this movie is beautiful. I think there's nothing ugly about this movie. I think it
is. It totally is. It looks amazing the whole time.
Yeah. That'll be our conversation about Alien. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we will be back. We'll be talking about our top four, each of our top four green movies that we associate with the color green. We've done a red episode before. We're gonna start trying to incorporate some more top fours into our shows coming up.
Top fours.
So
top four. And this movie will not be in the green one because Eric says it's not green.
And there you go. Maybe it'll be in mine. Maybe it'll be mine though. Who knows? But we do have another giveaway that we'll be giving a digital code away again. And this week we're giving away a digital code for Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was one of my favorite movies I saw last year. And honestly, it was one of those that I was not too keen on seeing. I didn't think it was going to be very good. And I walked out of the theater a very happy man.
Josh cried.
I did. I will admit it. I cried.
So I didn't cry, but it was definitely.
It is a heartwarming film for sure. And if you're a fan of Ghostbusters, I don't see why you wouldn't like Ghostbusters Afterlife. So if you want a digital copy of Ghostbusters Afterlife, you've got to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, leave a comment below that says who you're going to call, and we will pick a winner from those people. Also, leave us a who you're going to call on our Twitter at VHS Files Podcast, and we will pick one winner to get the digital code.
And we're going to put Josh's phone number, and you can call him.
No, you're going to call Ghostbusters. And that's going to do it for this episode. We will be back next week talking about our top four green movies. Until then, be kind.
Rewind! You bitch!
You've been listening to the VHS Files Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe and drop us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast.
It was fun.
Send your questions, comments, and movie suggestions to vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com.
You sick fucks, you've seen one too many movies.
Don't you blame the movies!
Follow us on all social media outlets at VHS Files Podcast.
Movies don't create psychos!
Check out our YouTube channel for more content.
Movies make psychos more creative!
Thanks for listening.
That's it. Goodbye.